I got the bloodlust. Me too. I want to kill. Let's kill.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to The Bloodlust. This is your go-to podcast for classy broads talking horror since 2014. This is episode 273 of the program. Tonight we are reviewing Red Rooms, a Canadian thriller, directed by Pascal Plante. My name is Amy. I am your fearless leader, joined as always by my lovely and talented co-host, Jamie.
Hello.
Hi. Have you been enjoying your weekend, Jamie?
Yeah, it's been so nice.
Yeah, it's finally not heavy coat and seat heater weather, and that's nice.
Oh, well, I mean, it's always heater weather for me.
Oh yeah, you like
that
that nice back heat?
It's nice for a sore back.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Cramps.
nice, cramps. If it's chilly in the morning, sometimes it just feels nice to have toasted buns.
Sure.
I'm a fan year round.
Well, I was happy I didn't technically need mine today, and I was able to walk the dogs without a coat, and that was a win, and I feel great about that. I'm sure that we'll get more snow before it actually becomes spring, but for now I'm reveling in this.
Yeah, maybe we won't. I actually got to run a couple errands yesterday in shorts.
What?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
It was like 65.
Good for you, buddy.
It's
That's
totally
pretty
warm
nice.
enough for shorts and sandals.
Listeners, I hope it's warming up where you live. I wanted to give a special shout out to one of our listeners named Jesse, because I just found out that he has a mutual friend with me, our friend Jason, who was the one who put him onto the show, and he's been listening, and we just interacted with him with something. He wrote us, but I can't remember now what it was. But Jason and Jesse just went on a vacation together and sent me a picture of the two of them.
Well, how nice.
I know, I thought that was cool. So hi, Jesse, and thank you for listening.
And hi, Jesse.
And I'm jealous of you for getting to go on vacation with Jason, because I miss him. In other news, let's see. I finished Mickey 7. I liked it. I thought it was a fun book. I still haven't seen the movie yet, but we were going to go this weekend, but it didn't end up going because I needed to rewatch this, and I hadn't done it during the week. You don't need to hear my excuses. Anyway, I plan on seeing it. But I thought the book was worth reading. It was a fun read, very fast. It didn't go as deep into some stuff as I would have liked it to at the end, but I recommend it.
Good to know.
Yeah. And now I am reading an anthology of the best of Richard Matheson. Have you ever read any Richard Matheson, Jamie?
I have not.
He wrote a bunch of short stories that Twilight Zone episodes were based on. And including like Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, and I think maybe It's a Good Life, and Third from the Sun, some other ones, some of the really iconic Twilight Zone episodes. He also wrote a book called Hell House, which I read a couple years ago and really enjoyed, and could really tell that it was something that Stephen King took a lot of inspiration from. It's a really cool haunted house book that was also made into a pretty cool movie. And so I'm excited to read more from him. I just finished the introduction to the book, and this collection was edited by Victor Laval, who got to choose the stories, and he's an author that I really like, so I'm excited to get started on this collection.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
I haven't been reading anything, but I've been watching or catching up with this most recent season of White Lotus.
Oh, you enjoying it?
Yes.
It's pretty wild, huh? How about that Sam Rockwell monologue?
It caught me off guard. Did not could not see where that was going, but
I really
love
enjoy
Sam
him as an
Rockwell.
actor. Yeah.
Yeah, I always do. I was excited to see him in this.
Have you seen Confessions of a Dangerous Mind?
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's
such
great.
a cool movie. Such a cool performance by him.
It really is.
Yeah, this season's wacky.
It is very wacky.
And
Between
I'm really
that
liking
and the
Parker
brothers
Posey.
on the boat. Oh, yeah,
Oh
she's
my God.
nuts.
It just makes me want to watch everything that Parker Posey's ever been in.
She's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's cool to see, with Jennifer Coolidge and her, it's cool to see kind of a Christopher Guest pairing. or a reunion, I guess.
Even though they didn't share any screen time.
No, but just the idea of them together.
Yeah.
Just puts you on Best in Show.
That's right.
So, we're here to talk about horror movies, and we have a roundtable, as we normally do on these episodes, so let's get to it. This movie is about, do you know what a red room is, listeners? It's something that is probably not real, but it is a rumored thing on the dark web where people are tortured and killed on demand for money. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically a live snuff film.
Right. They've kind of done this in movies before, like Hostel and The Den and other things. But that got me to the subject of horrible pieces of media that you've seen. Possibly real videos or not, I guess. But our roundtable question is, what is the worst piece of media you have seen or heard? Jamie and I both went through phases in our lives where we tried to watch the most disturbing things we could.
Yeah.
And I think we both have a lot of things that we could answer for this.
Yep. And that it really was just a phase, because I don't have any interest in... I mean, I can. It's not like they bother me, but I don't seek it out anymore to be like, what's the craziest one I can find? That was a short-lived moment. But anyways, I would probably say one of the worst things I've heard, and I first heard it like... maybe it wasn't the first time I'd heard it, but like... I was listening to a podcast at one point. I think it was on Sword and Scale. And so I was listening to it with my headphones in, so I was able to hear more specifics in greater detail. And it was the one with the... Was it 3 guys, 1 hammer or something like that?
You talking about the one with the screwdriver?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And just the sounds of... from the victim that you can hear. That kind of got to me in a way that things hadn't really yet.
Yeah.
And I did not like hearing that. And that was, without a doubt, one of the worst things I'd heard.
Yeah, that was really, really bad. That stuck in my head for quite a while.
Yes, same here.
I think one of the worst things I've ever heard was in the movie Grizzly Man, they show the director listening to the audio of the subject of the film getting killed by the Grizzlies because it was recorded. And they don't play it in the movie. They just show his reaction. Well, of course, I was too curious to let it go, so I found the audio, and it is just horrifying.
It is.
Just hearing him screaming
I
and
haven't heard it.
His girlfriend screaming for him to fight back, and just... the way that you could tell it was escalating through her reactions and stuff, it was really horrifying.
Oof. Yeah. Bear attacks scare me anyways.
I used to like watching videos where animals would kill people. And I saw a video of a guy who was trampled by an elephant.
I've seen one of those too.
That's one of the worst things I've ever seen. A video where a guy got sucked into a machine, an industrial machine. That was really bad.
Oof, yeah, that would be.
Anything else you can think of?
I mean, the crazy thing with all of that is that, like, so if there are videos that you can find online where someone's actually being killed, like, isn't that just a snuff film, essentially?
Any movie where someone's killed in it is a snuff film, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering, like, are we to the point now where we don't have to say that those are just a myth anymore, since we're now talking about red rooms and, like, whether or not they're actually a thing on the dark web?
I mean, I guess it's never actually been proven that someone was killed just to make a movie. I mean, I guess that's what a snuff film is. It's not just somebody on screen who gets killed.
Think of the torture or like the hostage situation things where they're clearly making a video of it.
You talking about
them beheading someone.
Terrorist stuff? Yeah. I guess that's a snuff film, sure.
It's more just semantics, but I was just curious.
But as far as like, do these red rooms exist on the deep web? I don't think there's ever been any kind of confirmation that they are.
Yeah.
But there's certainly a huge market for people distributing stuff like that.
I mean, I figure like why wouldn't there be? If not now, like at some point.
Yeah, I mean, if we've come up with this for our horror movies, it probably also exists.
Right.
It's not like it would be surprising to anyone who knows anything about human nature.
Not at all. And there are many layers to the dark web.
That's why it's .onion, right?
Yep.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever like downloaded the Tor browser and gone on? Have you? I've never done it.
I did. I haven't done much with it, but
You'd have to kind of know where to look, right?
yeah, I followed like some Reddit posts that were making suggestions.
Okay.
It was just to like locate like police files and stuff about certain cases. I wanted to see
interesting
things. And I did find some stuff.
That's interesting.
And then, yeah, I think I used to go on there every once in a while to find things to download. Like movies and such.
I gotcha.
It was like the obviously less seedy part of the dark web, but it was obviously just provided an additional degree of anonymity. Yeah, it was the dimly lit web.
Right. Listeners, what is the most disturbing piece of media you've ever seen or heard? Is it the Toy Box Killer tape? That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Imagining that you're the victim and you have to hear that and know what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, no,
it's pretty
thanks.
Disturbing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just the account of what happened to, like, who was that woman in Japan who was tortured by those kids?
Oh,
was
yeah.
it Junko Furuta? That was one of them. Just the description of what happened to her, and Sylvia Likens in California. Those were really traumatizing, too. Just hearing the descriptions of what happened.
Oh, yeah. I bet you the tapes of the Karla Homolka killings, like
yes.
The one of her sister being killed.
We were just watching, a several part thing about that.
Oh,
and
really?
Kay is not familiar with that story.
Oh, no kidding.
And so it was cool because the first like 2.5 episodes, it's all from, this is what Karla was saying, and she was a victim of abuse and blah, blah, blah. And I'm watching it going, wow, what if she wasn't complicit in this? What if this was like a thing that we're reframing because at the time there was so much sexism and misogyny and whatever, and we didn't understand like battered women syndrome and things like that. And then we get into it and it's like, oh no, wait.
Oh no, she still was very much a part of it. She was
a participant, yeah. Her own sister.
Ugh.
Yeah, and that's a very similar kind of situation as what happens in this movie, as far as like being this huge crime that shocks Canada, and people are obsessed with.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't even think about it when watching this, based on like the Canada thing, but it's pretty similar.
Yeah. All right. That's enough of that. That's been our roundtable. Let's get to talking about Red Room, shall we?
Sure. Red Room is not rated. It has a runtime of 1 hour and 58 minutes. Written and directed by Pascal Plante. It stars Juliette Gariepi. I don't know French at all. Laurie Bevan, Maxwell McCabe Locos. That's less French, but also seemed to struggle on that one. Anyways, it premiered at Karlovy Vary International Film Festival, July 4th of 2023. It was limited release in U.S. theaters September 6, 2024. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 96% fresh with critics, 75% fresh with audiences.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah.
This movie is about this trial that is going on in Montreal. This guy, his last name's Chevalier. What is it? Is it Robert Chevalier? Do you remember?
Robert? No.
Richard? It doesn't matter. This guy, Chevalier, has allegedly murdered 3 girls in these red rooms that we were talking about. So he tortured them, raped them, and killed them while filming it and sold it to the highest bidder on the internet. And so there's a trial going on for him. And our main character is not the victim's family or the attorney or the killer or anybody involved with the case. Our protagonist is this woman, Kellyanne, who is a model who plays online poker for tons of money, who is obsessed with this trial. And she goes and sleeps in an alley so that she can get there early so she can get a seat. And she goes every day. And we really don't know what her motivations are. She starts to kind of make friends with another girl who is attending the trial, who unequivocally believes that Chevalier is innocent. Mm-hmm. And is just based on, I guess she thinks he has kind eyes, which if you see this actor, what?
He has the opposite of kind eyes.
So this girl, Clementine, kind of makes friends with Kellyanne and they attend this trial together. And so we get kind of a courtroom procedural interspersed with this girl going about her life. It doesn't sound like a lot happens. There's no violence shown on screen at all, but this is a pretty intense thriller.
That it is.
Jamie.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Red Rooms?
I actually really liked this movie. I thought it was too long. I don't know where they could have shortened it, but it was too long. 2 hours was not necessary. But that being said, I really liked it because it hits most of my sweet spots. Like, it's crime, it's courtroom, it's serial killer, it's online poker. Just a box for that. But I liked the characters in it because they're both very strange and you don't really understand why either of them are groupies. In fact, I don't generally understand why anyone is a groupie for like serial killers, that sort of stuff.
But it's super fascinating to think about.
Exactly. Like it always happens. There's always one. And I really liked how quiet they made the Kellyanne character so that you really just had to learn about her through her actions throughout the movie. She's
very blank as a person.
She doesn't emote a ton and she doesn't speak a lot. So it's like everything you kind of have to put pieces together about her as you're learning about her or from like other people's observances of her. But she was a really fascinating character in that she obviously is very smart because she's smart enough to like be really good at online poker, understand like the mathematics and the statistics behind it. She's also smart enough to know how to do a lot of cyber things and technical things on her computer, and is very quick and skilled at like researching and looking things up. And I think something like that is excuse you. I think something like that is probably a good reason why some people can get so wrapped up in these sorts of cases because
it
it's
appeals
like
to their nature.
Right. Because they're investigative in the first place. It's a procedural, like there's the crime that happens, then you find the suspect and like evidence comes out and is then like shared, some of it's shared with the public. So if you have that sort of inquisitive, investigative like nature and interest and compulsion, I can see how one would get, that would be a reason for like someone to get sucked into something like this. But I really liked it. I thought that was I gonna say? Her little like AI Alexa
Guinevere?
sort of thing. Yeah, Guinevere, but it was just a cool picture frame that like lit up with Guinevere's face. And I just thought that was like a really cool touch because everything else doesn't feel like super technical and like it's not a heavy, it doesn't have a heavy technology themes, like sort of like a Black Mirror or something like that. But that was just a very cool addition where she was able to speak to Guinevere and get information as she's like doing investigation and stuff and like figuring out what address this is and like I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like her apartment too was also so sparse and like
it was
Spartan.
A good
there just wasn't
representation
anything.
of her character.
Yeah, but there was obviously everything. There was so much content and so much of what she values and everything that was just in that computer section. Like
right,
where her
and so the rest of
up.
it didn't matter.
Right. And even though there's a scene later on where they're like watching TV, that felt kind of weird too. It was just like everything happened right there at her computer. So you can just imagine how much time she really spends there. How that's where she's comfortable. She doesn't talk a lot out in public because she probably spends so much time just online and
we don't
in
really see
anonymity
her talk to anybody else. You don't see her talk to friends or family. She talks on the phone to her agent or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, she doesn't seem to have any
to,
connections.
Like, reporters for a few seconds.
But clearly she's super uncomfortable with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, then they go right over to Clementine anyways, who's...
Right. Much better.
Yes, a little
presence.
More animated. But I thought this was really... It was an interesting story. It was an interesting concept to look at the sort of psychology and motives behind these sort of groupies.
Right, because it gives you two different types.
Yeah.
You get the Clementine, who is much easier to figure out.
Yeah, you're just like...
She's just, know, obviously she seems to be like homeless. She seems to be disadvantaged. Mm-hmm. She probably, this guy resonates with her because she thinks that he is the little guy who's being oppressed.
Being
and she
picked
wants
on.
to, right. And that makes a lot more sense. It's like, what are Kellyanne's motivations in this? Mm-hmm. What is her deal? That's what makes it so interesting to me is how enigmatic that lead character is.
Oh yeah. And there's a scene more towards the end where she does something and dresses up a certain way when she goes to court. And that kind of confused me because in talking about like what's the motivation, I couldn't really understand what her reasoning for doing that was, given like what happens sequentially sort of immediately following that action in and of itself like didn't really make a ton of sense, because that was almost the only time you see her actually have some sort of like emotional or physical reaction to him, or just like being there. Everything else just feels so stoic, and she's just there and listening. And
right. It was a weird scene, and
it was a very weird scene. It made me uncomfortable. It
got me thinking a lot afterwards, and Kay and I talked about it afterwards. And this was a movie that I had to really think about a lot and decide what I thought was happening, which I think is cool, mm-hmm. and I enjoy. It was very interesting as a portrait of like what is the personality type of a person that would become so involved in something like this, and what is it that, because so many of us, it's interesting because so many of us are so interested and obsessed with true crime that you can see where it would happen.
Oh, sure.
That somebody would get this obsessed and go to the trial every day and get into it and stuff. And there's just, there's just a small step between people like you and me who like that stuff and listen to true crime and read true crime and watch documentaries and stuff. And mm-hmm. then people, it's not that big of a leap to somebody who does this. So it's interesting,
Yeah.
I think, as a study of who the fuck are these people?
Yeah.
Why do they do it?
What are you
kind
getting
of
from it?
person? What kind of person would do this? You know, and I think for that, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think, like, to say, just to sum, like, I really liked this. I'd probably give it a 4, and I would recommend it. I like how they didn't show the tapes. It was the sounds from it, and you kind of see it like blurred in the background, but you don't see anything's happening. I just thought all that was really well done because it's not focusing so much on that. It just really helps the film focus more on the main character of the groupie and why she is. But you hear enough of those murder tapes to like get a sense of how horrible they are, which makes you wonder even more, like, why are you seemingly like supporting this guy? Which is weird because it kind of ties into my favorite scene in this, which is when she confesses, or Clementine finds out that Kellyanne has downloaded and has seen 2 of the murder tapes, which apparently are not available to the public at this point. Or why would they be? And they hadn't even really been released or shown in court yet. They were asked to leave the courtroom on that day, so that's how the subject came up. But just when Clementine's like so confident and so adamant that he's not guilty, it couldn't have possibly been him. And it's interesting because like you almost kind of believe her because she could be a great attorney. She has an excuse or a reason for everything. And they're like, well, what if you see his eyes on her? And she's like, you pulled an image from a videotape that anyone with some Photoshop and maybe some AI help could possibly alter to make it look like him. You know, so she's like, sure, likelihood of that, probably slim, but it is also something that's completely possible. Yeah.
It's very easy to convince yourself that the stuff you're seeing is not real.
Right. So it's interesting how she's so all in and like super convinced. And then when she finds out Kellyanne has those tapes or those recordings and goes and says like, I want to see them. And then Kellyanne shows them to her. That's my favorite scene because I think the actress playing Clementine does a great job of essentially just shifting her
you can see her whole
worldview and
shift.
everything immediately. And like you see it in her face and then you see it in her response afterwards and her decision to leave, where it's just like, oh, so we as a viewer can now see and probably clearly surmise that what is on those videos does pretty clearly show that it was him that did it. Right. Like you can come to that conclusion. It was enough to convince her.
was very aware of.
Yes, right. And she was the one who was still there. So...
And Kellyanne is so, you can tell when she puts it on that she's watched it numerous times.
Oh, yeah, because she knows.
Because she says, you can see at this moment he's going to look right into the screen, you know, and stuff like that, which was chilling. And I think it's really an interesting way to make something that is very disturbing without showing anything disturbing.
Oh, yeah. And just to see the difference in their two... in the reactions of the 2 women. Like,
that scene
Clementine
was really
is obviously
well done.
upset. Her worldview shifts completely. She's crying.
Right.
Like, you can see it in her big, bulgy eyes. And then there's Kellyanne who, like, doesn't emote at all. Outside of, like, maybe if anything, there's, like, a degree of fascination. And she sees this as almost just like, no, it's just what it is. It's just a video of this thing. I don't have any sort of like emotional reaction.
It sure doesn't seem like she does. Yeah.
Yeah, the only real sort of like emotional reactions we see is when she, like right after when she dresses up at the court.
And also there is a moment in the first day of court during the opening when the movie's just kind of starting. She's staring while they're doing like the prosecutor's opening statement. She's staring right at Chevalier, and you see like a tear track down.
Oh, okay.
And it's very confusing as to why.
Weird.
I guess I have my ideas. There's only a few scenes in this, though, where she shows any emotion. And when she does, it's weird, inappropriate times.
Yes. It's weird times, and it seems to just be strange emotions. Like, not the right emotion for what you would think someone should exhibit at that point.
But I think what's interesting, too, about this movie is that they give you, I think, through just a portrait of Kellyanne's day-to-day life and her actions, everything you need to know to understand this character, I think. It just seems so crazy and unbelievable that someone would be like this that we reject it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like this too. I'd probably give this a 4 or 4.5 even. I really enjoyed it. I thought, first of all, isn't it interesting to get a look at different countries' justice systems? Like, why do other countries' court participants wear weird costumes? Isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it kind of odd that in the U.S. we don't wear powdered wigs and fancy ties? Like, it's weird that we don't compared to others.
They definitely wear the weird, like, wig stuff, like Canada and the UK, and it's so obvious because usually it just looks like a bad costume wig just set on top of the hair. And it's like, what is this for?
It's very strange. And their little outfits in this are strange. But, you know, I find it interesting. I liked, too, the movie is set up very precisely. Like, the sterility of the courtroom and the sterility of her apartment and the racquetball court and everything about her is very composed. And it mirrors her control and her composure. And I think it's interesting because as her composure starts to break down towards the end of the movie, so does the formality and the rigidity of the filmmaking. It starts to get more frenetic with faster cuts and stuff like that. I also really liked, as a good and interesting juxtaposition, the way that the performance from the lead is, where there's really inexpressive, really giving you nothing, but the score is just like, there's like wails and, and it's very operatic and very intense. And I thought that was interesting because, you know, it's a cool juxtaposition between the lack of any emotion from our main character and then the score is just full of emotion. Yeah. I thought that was very cool.
It is. It seems very obviously purposefully done because it works so well.
Yeah. I really like what this has to say. I like Clementine as a counterpoint to everything that Kellyanne projects.
Yeah, you just really feel for her when it all comes like crashing down. Because she's just so all
naive. And but I think that there's a lot here as far as attention to detail and with the character. I think, you know, what a perfect profession for her to be in with the blankness of her. You know, she's basically a blank canvas for people to project their fashions on. So being a model makes perfect sense for her character. Yeah. Being a poker player and being very good at that makes perfect sense for her character. Yeah. The stuff that she says about poker playing was very, I think, revelatory about her character as far as like, what does she say?
I like to watch people lose it all.
Yeah, it was like she didn't care about winning money. She didn't seem to care about money at all. And it wasn't even as much about her winning as it was about the other person losing. Which makes it very interesting. And it also goes to the way that she behaves in this. And I think this was a good example of how to make a movie about this stuff without being sensationalistic about it. Yeah. I thought this was a really good lead performance. I'm sure it was not a very easy performance to give, but I think she did a really good job and she was very controlled.
I think so. And then I think she like conveyed the sort of change in emotions or like breakdown of that control towards the end of it.
Mm-hmm. And really, you don't see her express emotion very much, but you do when she's playing racquetball.
Oh, yeah.
You can see her getting all of her frustration out and stuff. I also, you kind of mentioned this, but I really like watching people who are really good at interneting, navigate the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's something weirdly satisfying in this, like watching her look up the stuff to try and get the mom's address and stuff and get into her, unlock her house.
Oh, yeah. And I've always liked seeing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it made me think of like Searching and Unfriended and stuff, and I really enjoy those movies, and it makes me wish that I was better at interneting, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So I think that this is a very good movie. I really recommend it. I don't think you need to be a horror fan. Mm-mm. You also, it's not gory at all. It's not violent at all. It is something that people who are interested in true crime, I think would be very interested in.
Definitely.
It is subtitled.
Tough subject matter, but if you like true crime, you're going to be used to that.
You've already heard it all.
Yeah.
This is streaming on AMC Plus and Shudder. I'm sure you could probably also rent it if you don't have those things.
Yep, I did.
I definitely want to talk about spoilers about this because I think there's a lot to discuss. So I think that that's enough of what we think. We both highly recommend it and liked it very much.
Yes.
And we hope that you see it and don't want to spoil anything for you, but I want to talk some more about what we think this girl's issues were and stuff. So let's do that now. So I feel like when I first watched this a couple months ago, I kind of thought that Kellyanne was just obsessed in wanting to solve the mystery herself and get to it before everybody else did.
Mm-hmm.
And was sort of like inserting herself into the process because she wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, that would be kind of in keeping with what you learn or know about her character in the beginning.
But why'd she dress up like that?
Right, that's my big question.
Why'd she dress up like that?
I don't know what that did.
Why did she... Because there's a scene, okay, the guy... So if you decided you just wanted to hear spoilers without watching this, the guy has a definite type, and it's little young, blonde-haired, blue-eyed teens. Particularly, the last one was in a school uniform. And so Kellyanne gets the school uniform. She puts a blonde wig on. She puts blue contacts on. She puts fake braces on. And she shows up in court one day like this and finally is able to catch the eye of Chevalier, which is a really cool scene and really chilling. And I love what the score did there. But why does she do it if she's like this person I thought at first that just wanted to solve the crime like an internet sleuth? Why would she do that? Further, why would she, after the last victim's mom kind of castigates the groupies for coming to court every day and calls them out in front of the press, why does she immediately after that start searching for stuff about the mom and find out where she lives, get into her house, and then she eventually, at the end of the movie, goes in and leaves the last video there and takes selfies in the style of the daughter in her bedroom.
Yeah.
That's not an internet sleuth thing. That's a fucking groupie thing. That's a crazy person.
Yes.
So I feel like her motivation was wanting, she got a thrill from all of this. I think she got a thrill from inserting herself into what was going on. That was my big takeaway. I think,
I could see that. She just obviously doesn't, you don't see I'm thrilled written across her forehead.
I think you get it at the first court scene when she first sees him. I think she's moved because she's like, this is such a big moment for her. I think that's how I interpreted that in retrospect.
Okay.
And then I think that you see an emotion on her when she wins the auction.
Oh, yeah.
And when she gets him in the courtroom in the costume. I think that's about the only times you see any emotion from her.
I mean, she even like smirks and kind of smiles when she finally watches that third one. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, what? Like,
so
no one should be smiling during this.
Right. So Clementine was obsessed with the killer because she thought he was innocent. I think that Kellyanne is obsessed with the killer because she knows that he's guilty.
Yeah. Definitely seems to be that way. And I think when she's talking to Clementine earlier on about poker, and she says the line like, that's the game. Like, you can already tell, like, regardless of the situation, she likes seeing people who are hurt or like who are losing everything, who have lost everything, because to her that's just part of whatever game it is that she's doing at that time.
Do you think that's why she did that to the mom? Do you think that she sensed weakness in her and playing with emotion, and then
I think so.
Or do you think it was just, did she feel like she was embarrassed and wanted to punish the mom?
I didn't get a sense of that. I just think she liked, like she said, like exposing someone's weakness, finding it, kind of toying with it, then getting what she wants out of the whole thing, which she did because she ended up getting that third movie. And then she, even still at that point, you think, oh, well, she's obsessed with him, the killer, so she's one of those groupies that like would help him, but she doesn't, because then she anonymously gives that video to the police and leaves it for the mom. So knowing full well that's going to expose him as guilty.
Maybe she wants to see everyone lose everything.
Yeah, I think she just kind of reveled in pulling the strings on certain things. Like, that was in her control. She got that last video, and that she could or couldn't. She might share it with them. She might not, but she chose to do it.
What do you think she did with that selfie? Do you think she just kept that for her?
I think she just kept it.
We don't see her, like, sharing things on... She doesn't seem to have any kind of social accounts or anything like that.
No, but you see that she saves a lot of photos.
Right.
Of everything. So I kind of take that as just... It was almost like a little trophy of her own. Of, like, how involved she was able to get with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I really thought this had a lot of cool stuff to say.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make it any easier to understand the sort of psychology or what's going on in the head of a groupie for this sort of thing, but it does a little bit. It exposes it and shows it in a way that we haven't seen before, so it makes it a little bit more understandable. It kind of gives you a portrait of a personality type that might be somebody who could do this. It gives you a portrait of two different personality types of people who might become obsessed with a case and become groupies. Yeah.
The one just seems really crazy.
The one just seems almost...
Well, both of them seem really crazy, but...
But the other one, you can almost not understand it, but almost like empathize with it. Like you said, she's obviously a little destitute, probably homeless, like having a rough time. Probably hasn't
had people stick up for her.
Right.
You know?
So this is just what she's chosen to like... sorry, kitty's jumping up and demanding pets.
A little cuteness.
Yeah, this is probably just something for her to feel included and like something for her to champion, and she can stick up for him and like that sort of thing. But she's obviously the more mentally stable character, because when she does see those videos, she at least isn't so stubborn and dug in that she's like,
right.
Oh, well, and still trying to defend those points. Like you can see at that point, she's like, oh no, that's who that is. So, okay, I was wrong, and I guess I'm just going to go home. And she just immediately gives up on it, where Kellyanne, obviously, yeah, like you said, we were saying, she knew all along that it was him. So she's definitely more emotionless, like almost like sociopathic.
I think for sure.
Doesn't really create super, like, it almost makes me wonder if she really cared to build any sort of connection with Clementine anyways, or if she was somehow like she was just like a part of it. Like maybe what could she get out of her?
Well, right. Maybe it was,
or like knowing that,
was,
okay, I'm going to show her these videos at some point and see what happens.
I wonder if maybe it was that.
And then she got to pretty much see Clementine like feel like she lost everything because there was this huge thing that she was championing and felt super confident that she was in the right about, and then immediately just shown everything was wrong.
Right. So I think maybe that was why, because otherwise it doesn't make a lot of sense that she would have taken her under her wing.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem like she's a very warm person otherwise.
Yeah, his interesting character, for sure.
But movies are a very useful medium for making people feel bad about voyeurism. And this is another time when it's doing that. And I do realize that I have an unhealthy obsession with true crime, and especially the most gruesome kinds. And thank you, movie, for making me feel shame about it.
Oh, I feel no shame about it. You know why? Because I'm also not showing up at trials. I'm not trying to make contact with anyone from them.
Right.
I see them more as a fascinating thing and a cathartic way to experience and sort of witness horrible things without having to actually be a part of it, but reminding myself that they happen all the time. And I
think it's very much a part of femaleness too, and the fact that we're so often the victims of violent crime. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of it. But it's very fascinating to me, the idea of internet sleuthing too. Mm-hmm. I was just watching the 2020 about Gabby Petito.
Oh yeah.
And how somebody else in like the van life community was the one that helped locate her body. And that was very interesting.
Yeah, because they got on their dash cam video or on their video. They saw the van pulled off to the side of the road. Otherwise, they would have never known that was there.
Right. So yeah, this movie. We'd love to know what you guys thought of it. Your thoughts on this one. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. I went on Reddit after I watched this a second time, and there's some weird theories on there, like that she was the killer all along and stuff.
Oh, well, that's just silly.
I mean, most people shot that one down, but yeah, people thought that like maybe she had a relationship with Chevalier at some point, and this was some kind of like vengeance on him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy those, but I always love reading about wacky theories.
Yeah, I do too. So yeah, we'd love to hear what you thought about this one. If you got a chance to see it, what did you think of the end? What do you think she did with that selfie? Can you imagine being the mom, finding that thumb drive, knowing what was going to be on it, and then the torture of like, should I watch this?
Yeah. No way.
I don't understand how families are able to sit through trials and hear all that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of times they aren't. That's why she just like up and left within 20 seconds of them starting that video. And that wasn't even her daughter.
Yeah, right. It's crazy to me too with the Canadian justice system, how it takes so long for the trials to start. And the people are just in prison until that happens.
I mean, ours can too.
But it seems like it happens in Canada all the time. Like there was one, the kid was ultimately let out, but he was in prison for 3 years waiting until his trial.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just doesn't move as quickly.
Well, remember Dear Zachary?
Oh, yeah. That's horrible.
How can Canadian justice system for you?
Dear Zachary.
Yeah. So, that's what we think of Red Rooms. For our next movie. I haven't heard much about this. I just saw it in some people's best horror of 2025 lists and thought that it looked interesting enough to put it on our list. Yeah. It's called The Dead Thing. It is on Shudder and AMC Plus currently, or you can rent it for probably $3.99. Would be my guess. You got 2 weeks to watch it until you meet back up here with us and we discuss it. Let us know what you've been reading, watching, listening to. The new Perfume Genius album came out on the 28th or Friday. I'm very into that. I'm enjoying it very much. I don't know what you guys listen to.
Perfume Genius.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Oh. Can you compare him to another artist?
Geez. His early stuff was a lot of piano-driven stuff. As his albums progressed, they got more orchestral. They have really nice arrangements. His lyrics are really good. Who could I compare him to? Maybe Sufjan Stevens.
Oh, okay.
But I'm loving that. There's a new Panda Bear album. I really don't know what you listeners listen to, but that's the stuff I listen to. I'm big fan of Panda Bear, big fan of Perfume Genius, Sufjan Stevens, Beach House, Japanese Breakfast, who also has a new album out. Anyway.
And I'm still Shazamming songs from like the early 2000s. and considering them new.
Often play games at night now, and we alternate controlling the music when we play games. And she's been playing 90s soft rock.
Love that.
Favorites. Yeah, we've been enjoying that. I find that a lot of songs I hated when they first came out, I still know all the words to them because they played them on the radio so much and on VH1 and stuff, and I don't hate them so much anymore.
And now you kind of love them. They're coming around.
Mm-hmm. But I guess you'll have that when things come out when you're in your sullen teens and stuff.
Yes. Agreed.
You're too cool for everything.
Literally everything.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm a Gen Xer. We were just born too cool for everything. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about with this, I found something cool from IMDb, that there's a bunch of references in this movie to the legend of King Arthur. Mm-hmm. Her username on the poker website is Lady of Shalott, which I did notice.
Yes.
That references the poem Lady of Shalott by Tennyson. Mm-hmm. She was a lady who lived in a tower, and she could only look through a mirror on the wall opposite her window. And she can't leave the tower or else she'll die. And then she sees Lancelot and decides to follow him. And she leaves the tower and dies. But then her boat goes down to Camelot. So it's kind of a neat parallel to Kellyanne, who also lives in a tower and doesn't interact with the world except through her computer.
Yeah.
Which is opposite her window. And her obsession with a man ends her career. Because we didn't talk about that, but she does ruin her career by pulling the stunt in the courtroom.
Yeah, they're basically like, yeah, we can't possibly book you for anything now.
Right. Her desktop wallpaper is the painting The Lady of Shalott.
Her AI
Chevalier.
is Guinevere.
Guinevere, yep. Chevalier is the French word for knight.
Yeah. Very interesting.
It was a weird little...
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool. And a painting of Guinevere and Lancelot hangs on her wall. She also drinks champagne from a silver chalice, similar to depictions of the Holy Grail after she wins the auction. Also, that amount of Bitcoin would have been over $410,000, or almost $410,000.
Yeah, and it was 21 and a half Bitcoin.
That's crazy.
It is. And that she also doesn't have to worry about money, or like wasn't too upset about her modeling thing. I think she more used that as like an outlet for creativity or something like that, because she can just stay home or on her phone and win at poker all day long. Like she wins while they go out to lunch. And she's like, oh no, here, I'll buy your lunch for you. I just won a game and got enough. More than enough to pay for lunch. So it's like, yeah, she just does it kind of the emotionless thing, but you just don't ever see her like her feathers ruffled by anything. She's just always seemed, at the beginning anyways, like so cool and calm.
Yeah. It's a very cool movie. I really liked it.
Agreed. I was a fan.
Hope the next one's good. We'll see. All right, listeners, we've enjoyed talking with you. Jamie, thank you for joining me.
Of course.
If you have not reviewed our podcast yet, what are you waiting for? We're a small little podcast. We don't get a lot of listens. We don't get a lot of reviews. Share us with your friends. Review us. Rate us. Thank you in advance. Also, if you'd like to contact us, you may do so at thebloodlustpodcast@gmail.com, at thebloodlust.net on our website, or through Instagram or Facebook. Just search for The Bloodlust. Okay.
Yay.
This has been episode 273 of the podcast. Until next time, I've been Amy.
I'm Jamie.
Thank you, good night, and hail Satan.
Bye.